Brisket prices got you down? Don't worry, I've got a budget-friendly alternative that's just as tender, just as smoky, and packed with flavor. Today we're smoking a chuck roast with Burn Pit BBQ's all-purpose garlic seasoning. Simple, it's bold, and it might just be our new go-to BBQ cut. Let's fire it up. So today I'm using snake method. I got some Kingsford charcoal. Gonna be using some hickory wood chips to add the smoke flavor there. I've got a 3 to 4 pound chuck roast. Now this is from a cow we had butchered earlier this year. It's a great cut that has great marbling. It means it's going to turn out juicy, flavorful, really good beefy flavor. So let's start out. Let's get it out of here. I did pat this down just a little bit with a paper towel to get any excess moisture off of there. Now you certainly could use a binder like yellow mustard on this, but I'm keeping it simple today. I'm just using my all-purpose garlic seasoning. It has great flavor, and really it's all that you need on this. Sometimes I'll add just a little bit of black pepper on it as well. It gives it a nice bark as well as just a little bit extra bite to it, but that's totally optional. And you can certainly use whatever beef seasoning that you like, but my garlic seasoning is my go-to here. So make sure you coat it on all sides. Get it all over. Again, be generous with your rub. Don't skimp on it. It's going to add great flavor. But this is just going to enhance the flavor of the meat. This is a grass-fed Angus cow that we got butchered. So it's going to be great. But the seasoning just adds a little bit something to it. Let the meat do the talking. Make sure you get the sides as well. And like I said, I'm just going to top it off with a little bit extra of my gunpowder homemade blend that I have. Now this has a little bit of activated charcoal in it, which will give it a nice barky color. But also it has some black pepper in there too. Now it's a special homemade blend that I have. We haven't released this one out to the public yet, but maybe one day we will. But it's great on beef. Has a little bit of cayenne pepper in there too, so it gives it just a little bit of bite too. Now let's all season up. I'm gonna let it sit out until my grill gets up to temperature. I'm running it today at about 250. And again, I'm using some hickory wood chips. Now you can certainly use like hickory or oak for like a nice deep, rich smoke flavor. Once the smoke is rolling, it's time to put the chuck roast on. Now using the snake method will allow me to set it and forget it for a while, so I won't have to go in and check on it for a while. That snake method should keep it at about 250 for actually like 6 to 8 hours. So I'm gonna let this one go for a few hours before I check on it again. And I got my thermometer there. I like the old school method. You can certainly use one of the new wireless or Bluetooth thermometers. It works just as well, but I always get a good reading from that one there. So you can see I've let it on here for a couple hours, and we're getting right up to that temperature where I want to wrap it or put it into a tin to continue to break it down. So it's at about 165 here, and that's what I'm looking for. So you can certainly give it a spritz if you want it with some beef broth or some Worcestershire sauce to keep the bark from drying out. But I'm going to put it in a pan here, and I'm going to put some broth at the bottom of it before I wrap it up here. Alternatively, you could use like butcher paper or foil just to wrap it. But I think adding a little bit of broth, maybe some butter as well, you're going to get a nice rich flavor to it. So I'm going to wrap this up here. I'm going to leave it on for a couple more hours. I'm looking for an internal temperature of about 200 to 205, and that'll be nice and tender for me. If I wanted to shred it, I'd probably leave it on for a little bit longer to get to like that 207 to 210 internal temperature. But because I'm going to be slicing it kind of like a brisket, I'm going to pull it at about 200, 205, usually around 203. Now this will take a few more hours, but trust me, it's going to be totally worth it. want to make sure you wrap it real tight so none of that moisture gets out of it. We try not to dry it out, but I have faith that this is going to be nice and juicy when we pull it out here shortly. All right, here we go. Wait a couple more hours and we're going to get back in here. Let's see the moment of truth. All right, we pulled it off. It's been resting now for about a half hour. So once you pull it off, you want to let it rest for a little while. Now, brisket, I'd probably let it rest for, at least an hour, but this is a small chuck roast, so I'm not going to be resting it that long. It's been resting for a half hour. You can definitely smell the garlic and the smoke, but look at that nice bark there. Nice and juicy still. You can see the meat starting to pull back. This chuck roast had a bone, actually 2 bones in it. So you can see that the meat is really pulling back from that probe. I didn't move it at all. And now we're going to pull it off, and I'm going to slice it up here. So again, if I wanted to like shred it for like some shredded beef, this is a great cut to do that as well. But I would probably leave it on a little bit longer. All right, let's slice into this bad boy. Yeah, look at that nice bark. I was able to pull that bone straight out of there. Make sure you got a nice sharp knife. Great smoke ring, nice and pink smoke ring. Nice and juicy. That's what we're looking for. Tender, juicy, packed with smoky, garlicky goodness, flavor. Yeah, who needs a brisket when you've got this? Use it for sandwiches. You can make tacos. Just eat it straight off the board like I do. Great flavor. Don't break the bank with the brisket. Use a chuck roast. And if you're looking for some bold barbecue flavors without the hassle, go ahead, check us out. Grab a bottle of Burn Pit BBQ's all-purpose garlic seasoning. I'll throw a link below. But look at that nice smoke ring there, nice and tender, nice and juicy like a brisket. See you next time, and check out some of these other videos that we got here. Now get out there and fire up the smoker.